Hi, everybody. It is now the 12th week of the semester of the fall 2019. So we are, coming down the home stretch here a little bit. I know that I've not completely graded the last week's essays yet, but I'll, by the end of the week, have all the essays caught up on the grading. I have caught up on the quizzes that I've received up through this week's. So, this week we got Virginia Woolf. Virginia Woolf is a very important British author. She is an early 20th century feminist, which is what one of your readings is going to be about, which is Three Guineas. Actually, both of our readings this week are very feminist readings. Three Guineas is, by the way, a guinea is a type of currency in Great Britain, or at least it was before the euro. So, in Three Guineas, Woolf is going to make the argument that as a woman, she has no rights in England. Therefore, these men that are saying we're going to fight for you women because we're going to defend the women of our country, she's saying, but do we really have a country? She reminds the reader that up until recently, women could not vote, women could not own property, women could not hold certain jobs. Women were essentially second-class citizens. And most importantly, in this whole British argument, women could not remain citizens of Britain if they married someone from another country. So if she married somebody from France, she would then become a Frenchman or a French woman instead of a British woman. So she's saying, look, if you're going to sit here and deny us these rights, we're not going to declare our allegiance to England. In fact, the last quote of this reading is very important, where she says that she is a citizen of the world, not a citizen of Great Britain. And her argument is, if we tell the men, if the women tell the men that they're not going to, they don't care one way or the other whether the men fight for them or not, maybe that'll put an end to this destructive war, which was World War II. And World War II was even more destructive than World War I. We learned about World War I last week and how destructive that was. World War II really showed even how more destructive war could be than World War I had. So that's the Three Guineas, excuse me. Then we've got the reading for A Room of One's Own. And what's really important in this one, basically Virginia Woolf is saying a woman can make a good living if she has, a little bit of a salary and a room of her own to write in. Because she's going to bring up the fact that women writers were almost non-existent up until about the 17th, 18th centuries. Actually, more like the 18th century. And even then, it was at the end of the 18th century, around the Romanticism period. So she's going to say, hey, what about all the women's voices from prior to the Romantic era? And she's going to say that they don't exist. She can't find them. And then she's going to come up with a hypothetical situation where Shakespeare has a sister named Judith. Now, by the way, Shakespeare did not have a sister named Judith, but he did have a daughter by the name of Judith. So that's why Woolf chose that name, Judith, for a hypothetical sister of Shakespeare. So what if Judith were just as bright as Shakespeare was, and yet she was denied the right to be a writer because of the fact that she was a woman? And you're going to see a situation where the sister, because her creativity and because her genius is repressed so much by society, and particularly by the men in her society, her husband and then a man who gets her pregnant, that it's going to have a very destructive ending. So, Virginia Woolf, extremely important writer in British literature history, and I think that these readings will certainly give you a flavor for what writing was like in the mid to early 20th century.